joining us today for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. Today, I am joined by the incredible Toby Foster. He is the Regional Director at Lenders One Mortgage Cooperative. Toby, first off, it's such a pleasure to have you here with me. It is amazing, as we were just speaking before, it's amazing that we only met each other in 2022, but it truly is a pleasure getting to know you. And I knew that I had to hear more about your mortgage journey. So at this time, what I would like to learn is you are a little bit unique because most people that I speak to accidentally fell into our industry, but that is not your journey. So I would like to start with how you came into our industry. And then, of course, my most favorite question of what is your why?
Laura, thank you so much. Yes, a pleasure to be here. It is amazing to me that both of us have been in the industry for the number of years that we've been. And you're right. I think we met in May at the secondary conference. So it's been a pleasure, and I know we spent a lot of time together, and truly have enjoyed getting to know you, and enjoy doing the different things that we do. But to hit on your why, yes, I'm a bit different. I've watched many of these episodes that you have, and most people were here or there and they accidentally found an ad. But for me, I truly was born into this industry. My father started at the old CNS Bank in Atlanta, which is now grown, and it technically is Bank of America. He started there the day after I was born.
Wow.
And as I grew up, of course, my dad was my hero, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But I also had some friends and family that were in law enforcement. So as I was in college, I thought, well, I either want to be a Georgia State trooper or I want to be a mortgage banker. So I just went out, I got the haircut, bought a suit, and jumped into the mortgage banking side. That's kind of been my joke. But reality is I spent a lot of time growing up with my dad, as he would bring these huge files home on the weekend, and he would underwrite these things. I was fortunate enough that I could go through, and he would show me, how do you calculate income? How do you review an appraisal? So I had a tremendous teacher in my father, and really he was my why for the longest time. When I entered the industry in I guess it was 91, he told me, he said, son, you have a impeccable name coming into this industry. Right. And don't you ever do anything to screw it up. And I've lived every single day for the past 30 plus years, making sure that I live each day and live up to that Foster last name in this industry. Like many others, my why has changed over the years. Certainly family. I have a wonderful wife of almost 27 years and two wonderful children. But it's really has transformed now of where I'm to the point of, education is a huge thing for me within the industry. I mean, of course, 32 years into this, and I'm just now finally, I'm going to do my CMB this year.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. I was one of those, and again, that goes back to a promise that I made to my dad. I went back to school at 40 years old, finished up my undergraduate, then rolled into my MBA and actually finished it, I guess 2 years ago when I was 50. And as I told you before we started, I'm actually looking at prepping for the LSAT and maybe even going back to law school. But tying it in now, my why is to help the next generation of mortgage banking professionals, whether it's from a sales perspective, whether it's operation. I've heard for my entire career, the average age of the mortgage originator is 57 years old. And I guess these guys don't age, and they
I
continue
know.
to. But
I've heard the same thing for like 15 years. Yeah.
Yes. So, that is, my why is really to help the next generation of coming in.
I love that. And Toby, it's funny, as you were speaking, I was honestly thinking of my own kids, because I was the person bringing home the big thick files and sitting at my dining room table with my children that now are in the mortgage industry. And I said the same thing. You're coming in with a last name that is very, very well regarded. Don't ever mess it up. Like, make
Absolutely.
sure that name is protected, because it's a gift. So hearing you share that about your father kind of warms my heart, of thinking of the flip side of that, if one day my kids were asked that same exact question. So I love that, and that's very, very special. And the fact that, yes, I believe all of our why changes, right? When we're young and starting out, we're doing it for our family, whether it's our own children and our own family or our parents, and then it kind of morphs into other things. And I agree with you. At our stage of, how long we've been in the mortgage industry, it definitely is about making sure that we're leaving the industry better than we found it. And that doesn't mean that it was bad. It just means it's evolved, right? It's changed and it's morphed and it's ever changing, right? That's the great thing about our industry, is it is ever changing. Yes. So with that, I would love to hear, I'm sure you have lots of great stories and special memories of your entire career and still making those, but I'd love to hear, give me a time, give me a story of when you realized the impact that you've had on our industry.
Oh, Laura, this one is very easy for me. I mean, there's been many things that certainly I think back over the 30 plus years of helping this family, or helping this family, or helping this person. But 2 years ago, we were in San Francisco at the annual MBA conference, and there was a young man. Of course, he's older now, but when I was a correspondent rep, he was my inside assistant. And when he came in, green is not even the word that I would use. It goes back again. I refer to my father many times. As my dad said, this young man didn't even realize there was a T in mortgage. But he was so eager to learn. And we spent many days just going over, how do you do this, and why does this happen, and so forth. And I tried to feed him the knowledge. He asked the questions. He was so eager to learn. It was a pleasure for me to try to help this man grow. And of course, I ultimately moved on, and he stayed where he was at. But 2 years ago, or a year ago, we're at San Diego, and I run into to this young man, and he comes up and he hugs my neck, and he tells me, he says, I just want to thank you. He said, everything that I've done, where I'm at now, I owe to you. He said, you were such a great teacher. You were such a great mentor. And he even joked about, I didn't realize that there was a T in the mortgage at the time, and I told him, I said, look, all I simply did, you asked the questions, I gave you the answers. I said, you've done what you've done. You've made the accomplishments on your own. I'm just happy that I could be a part of it.
Okay, so a couple of things there. I love that story for a multitude of reasons, but a few things, right? Number one, I think sometimes we don't realize the impact that we have on other people. Now, that impact can be positive or negative, right? Like it doesn't always have to be positive. It could also be a negative impact, right? Now, of course, in this case, and I'm sure in all cases with you, Toby, you take the time and you listen and you answer and you treat everyone as being the most important person, regardless of where they are. You show up with them the way they need you to show up in that instance. And that is a gift. That is a very special gift, right?
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, okay, so obviously it made you feel special, right? And it made you feel happy that you made that impact. But I want to ask you a question when it comes to mentoring, whether it's being the mentor or being the mentee. I want you to share some thoughts on that, because I really want people to realize that impact that you have and the impact that person has on you, because it's a two-way street when you're doing that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. And it is, for me, mentoring, the the new person coming into the industry, and that's ultimately where my goal is of going is, helping these younger people, getting the next generation, but as a mentor, I think many of us that are at the age or at the points in our career, we have so much knowledge. We've seen the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys of this industry. But this industry, it's either go 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 go, that we don't have time to help, or the times are the low times, somewhat like many are going through now. And again, it's kind of like, well, we've got to figure out with the budgets, I'll get back with you. I would say to the mentor, take that time. Take that time. If it's 15 minutes a day, if it's 30 minutes a day, if it's an hour a week, take the time, because you can make such a positive impact on a person's life. And it may not with the mortgage banking industry. It could be that they're going through a hard time in their life, and they just want to know that somebody supports them, and they're there. I think about Jim Ford. I know Jim, and what he does with his activities of making sure that people know that they're important, and that's the thing that I would say to a mentor. Now, from a mentee perspective, certainly keep your ears open. Try to find that person that, try to find the Toby, try to find the Laura, try to find that person that wants to help you. But like I said, the feeling that you get as a mentor when that mentee, I mean, it literally brought tears to my eyes when he came to me and said this, because it was so unexpected. So, yes, there is a positive impact for that mentee, but those mentees have just as much of a positive impact for the mentor.
That's right.
And as we said, a little earlier, sometimes it's just simply, sending a quick email or a note or a text to someone and saying, hey man, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. I'm proud of you.
Right. Those words are so valuable. And it's funny, I started doing that "I'm proud of you" a couple years ago. Like that wasn't something that I would say previously, because I was like, well, who am I to tell someone that I'm proud of them? Like meaning, like I almost thought, maybe I don't have permission to say that to someone. And then the first time I did it, I realized the impact that statement made. And then I realized, you know what? That's very powerful. that statement. Don't use it just sparingly. Use it when you really, truly feel it. Because when you say that to someone, those words have a lasting impact. But use them. Don't be afraid to say that, and be okay with sharing that. Because I think I can speak for myself in the mortgage industry. There was many years, many years, no one was going around going, great job. No one was going around saying, you did really well there, or I'm proud of you. Those words were not used. We grew up, in the mortgage industry, if it was tough, and it was survival. It was like you had to claw your way through, and it was like, well, if you survived that, congrats. Your reward is you survived. There was nobody giving you an award or telling you, wow, you did well. And you know what? That made us strong. And that made us to who we are. But that doesn't mean we can't now turn around and say, great job, way to go. Or how about, I see you. I see you. I'm listening to you. And I'm here just to let you know I'm watching. Those words are so powerful. And a lot of times there could be people that they've never heard those words before. You don't know how they grew up. You don't know what they're experiencing right now in a difficulty in their personal life. So taking that time, we can make that difference. We can change and have that positive impact for the industry we love, for the people that we care about within this industry. So thank you for sharing that, Toby, because I know you're very passionate about this, just like I am. And that's a lasting imprint and footprint that we'll have on this industry, right? All right, so with that, because you're passionate about that generation behind us and that we want to make sure that we guide them, I want to hear, give me a little bit of advice that you would share to someone that's coming in to our industry.
Well, I would simply say be a sponge. I would also say, regardless if you have, a father or a mother that's in the industry, you're coming into this industry with an impeccable last name. Now you're going to make your mark on the industry. Never do anything to tarnish that name. Make sure that, when someone talks about you, they go, yes, Peggy Smith, spectacular person. I would trust Peggy with, anything that any object or any process or anything that I put ahead of her, she's going to do it. She's going to do it well. She's going to do it honestly. She's going to do it ethically. I think that is a huge thing. Going back to the mentor portion, yes, if you can find that mentor, a lot of times they'll just fall in your lap though. It just happens to be someone that you're working with. But the biggest thing too is education. As I've referred to, Mortgage Bankers Association offers so many programs that you can learn from. A lot of the education courses, they offer and there's no cost, or if there's a cost, it's a trivial amount of cost. Participate in your local mortgage bankers associations because they always have some type of continuing education and wonderful speakers. And that's where you're going to learn is from others that have experience in this industry. So again, be a sponge, suck it all in, take it all in, and that's what's going to make you successful. And the final thing that I would say is never quit. You're going to have tough times. I would say now, I hear a lot of people saying, oh, we're not hiring, or, oh, I'm not sure if I would someone asked me about my son, the youngest one, would you let him get in why would you want him to come into the industry? Why wouldn't I want him to be
Yeah,
in the
I
industry?
agree.
This industry has offered me and provided me with such great opportunities, some of the best friends in the world. So again, you know, take in everything that you can, never give up, give it 110% every day, and know that every day is a new day to get out there and make your impact on this industry and on this earth. We're here to help one another.
And, going back to what you just said about your son, well, listen, let's go back to what we just said a few moments ago when they say the average age of the originator is 57. We're going to need new Tobys and new Lauras coming into this industry. There's going to be open spots as we pass the baton to the next generation. So what a fabulous opportunity to come into this industry and bring that knowledge and that eagerness and passion into this, because there's going to be a new group of leaders in the industry. So I think it's a fabulous thing to bring people in that want to be a sponge and become educated and have that passion to set their path for the future of our industry. We need them. We need all of them. Toby,
Absolutely.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your insight, your passion, your love for this industry, and most importantly, your why with all of us. We truly appreciate it, and we wish you all the best always.
Thank you, Laura.